clever. Might even work. Come in.
Hey guys, it's DVD Gamer Girl here. Welcome back to my channel. So today I have a video idea of sorting the Baldur's Gate companions by what I think their preferred love languages out of the 5 love languages. Thank you so much to the person who gave me this idea in the comment section of my previous video. I actually loved this idea immediately because I made a TikTok about a year ago or a year and a half ago about what I thought the love languages were for each of the companions. So I thought it would be great to expand it into an actual full video. So before we get started, I will just quickly cover what the 5 love languages are for anyone who's unfamiliar with it. But it's basically like the concept of how someone feels the most loved, like some type of action that makes someone feel very loved in their relationship. So the 5 love languages are words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, acts of service, and receiving gifts. So words of affirmation is basically constant reassurance, constant compliments, like very frequent I love yous, and it makes the person feel very secure in the relationship from like the words of the other person. Quality time is basically exactly what it sounds like. You just have a lot of very meaningful time together, so not peppered by other distractions, and you just basically love to spend time together. You love to have deep conversations, and you give your partner your full attention during those times. Physical touch is any type of affectionate physical contact. I mean, it can be very mild, like hugging, or it could even be sex. Just you feel the most loved through physical contact, basically. Acts of service means just doing any type of thoughtful deed or gesture to help make your partner's life easier. So it could be, you know, doing the dishes, cooking, filling up someone's gas, taking their car for service, just like things like it could be small little things like that, but just any type of action that basically makes their life easier. And receiving gifts means that you feel the most loved when you're actually getting some type of physical gift, or you like to express love through giving gifts, but those physical, you know, material gifts actually mean a lot to you in terms of like how much you love the person or how much someone loves you. So now we can actually get started, and as usual, I've broken up each of the characters into kind of their good and evil versions, so like regular Shadowheart, Dark Justiciar Shadowheart, for example. The only one I didn't do that for really is Lae'zel, because I feel like when Lae'zel ascends to Vlaakith, like she cuts off the relationship anyways, and I just don't really see a point to ranking her ascended version, so that's the only one I haven't done. Anyways, so let's start with good Shadowheart. So the one who rejects Shar and saves Nightsong, and you have like a very wholesome romance with her, essentially. I feel like Shadowheart's love language is actually quality time, because honestly, like a lot of her dates and such as you go through the game is very dependent on quality time. So for example, at the tiefling party, she wants to get away from the party and kind of split a bottle of wine with you, and you guys talk about your pasts and, you know, your likes and dislikes and what's important to you. So I feel like that's a lot of deep conversation. And even later, you know, like later romance, when you get her beach scene, she wants to kind of go swimming with you and share that time with you. So I feel like quality time is a really, really big aspect for her to kind of open up in the relationship, trust you, and it's what makes her feel the most loved. You could argue maybe a little bit of gift giving, because she really appreciates when you remember that she likes the night orchid and give it to her, but I don't think it's so much the gift in that sense as it is that you remembered what she told you. So I feel like quality time is just like a really big one for her, and she doesn't seem to be that keen on the other love languages. Dark Justiciar Shadowheart, for me, I think it's kind of a split between acts of service and physical touch. So I'm gonna put her in both. The reason that I say acts of service is because she is very dedicated to Shar. Shar has her whole heart. So anything that you do that kind of helps her with her mission and cause with Shar, she really appreciates that in the relationship. And I feel like that's the one thing kind of holding you to her, is helping her with, you know, her dedication to Shar. And I will also say physical touch because in her Dark Justiciar version, she basically really detaches from you emotionally, and every time you have any kind of physical intimacy with her, it's all about Shar, and she's basically offering you her body rather than her heart. So I feel like physical touch is a very important part of the relationship with Dark Justiciar Shadowheart, because if you didn't have that, you wouldn't really have anything with her by that point. Okay, now let's talk about Spawn Astarion. I think I'm gonna put him in quality time because I feel like once you really get into the romance with Astarion, he also really enjoys those deep conversations. He opens up about his past. He tells you how hard it is to love somebody. And later when he brings you to his grave and he talks about his old life, I feel like all of those things are very quality time, and he's giving you a chance to really get to know the real him. That being said, I think I'll also put Astarion in words of affirmation, because as he opens up to you, you kind of start to find out how insecure he is, and I feel like he has an anxious attachment style. If you ever talk about breaking up with him, he kind of crashes out and gets very upset. So I feel like he does appreciate and love the reassurance that, you know, you're going to stick by him no matter what. Okay, next for Ascended Astarion. This one is actually really hard, but I'm going to go ahead and put him in acts of service because I feel like the only thing that he appreciates in your relationship after he ascends is you kind of sticking by his side and ruling with him, like sharing in his power and basically listening to whatever he tells you to do. And that's like the only way that he really feels loved, I guess, is just like you submitting to him completely. So I'm gonna put that under acts of service. Next is Minthara. Minthara, I'm gonna put her under acts of service because I feel like, you know, when you get to the end of the game and she kind of regrets that you guys didn't take control of the absolute, I feel like she is very, very focused on power, and that kind of goes throughout the entire game, where she respects you and, you know, starts to like you in certain aspects when you share in her desire for ruling people and for power and just like a lot of morally gray aspects. I feel like she really appreciates loyalty and dedication to a cause. So I feel like acts of service is her love language more so than the others, because if you show an interest in, you know, the same cause and loyalty that she has, you know, a really strong opinion on, she will immediately appreciate you more and feel loved in the relationship. Okay, next we have Lae'zel. Lae'zel is an interesting one. I feel like she has like maybe a couple of different ones. But primarily, I feel like I'm going to put her in acts of service as well, because in the very beginning of the game, you know, she is sticking by you and she's like really, really trying to get you to go to the creche because she feels like it will help her and she feels like it will help you. And if you do go to the crush with her, I feel like she gains a whole new level of respect for you and appreciation for you, and that's like really important to her in the romance, that you like respect her sense of duty and, you know, you try to give her what she wants in that sense and help her out. That being said, I think I will also put Lae'zel in physical touch. Because first of all, your romance starts off very lusty, very physical. So I feel like that is a huge building block for her, at least initially. And also, like, one of the most interesting parts of her romance is when she has you do a physical duel with her to kind of like really establish your romance. So even though that's not physical touch in the traditional sense, I feel like she really does value, you know, you partaking in the duel with her, and whether you win or you lose, it kind of like reflects how she views the relationship in terms of power dynamics. And so in that sense, I feel like physical touch is very important to her. So that's why I'm kind of putting that, because the duel is like a very interesting way to kind of really get into the romance. Okay, for Wyll, Wyll is a little bit hard for me, but I think Wyll likes to show love with acts of service. Like, he likes to be protective, he likes to do the right thing, and he always wants to basically be there for you in a very chivalrous way, which makes me think that he also wants the same for himself. Like, he wants to see you doing the morally good things, and he wants to share the same set of moral values, I feel like. So it's like his sense of duty, if you also follow that and fulfill that, I think he feels more secure and loved in the relationship. I'm also going to put Wyll under words of affirmation though, because he's one of the few characters who has like really good dialogues in the romance. Like, he's always reassuring you how he feels about you, and he's like very poetic about it. And I feel like he also likes to hear how interested you are in him, and he also likes when you say I'm proud of you and stuff like that about how he handled his past. Like, he really likes, he has an ego, and I feel like he kind of likes to be hyped up about his previous choices and just hear nice things from you. I get a lot of approvals from Wyll just through dialogue, so I feel like it's very important to him. Physical touch, absolutely not, because he's like one of the most like vanilla romances in the game, I feel like. Okay, now for regular Gale. I feel like regular Gale, words of affirmation is definitely like his most dominant one, and I'm also gonna put him in quality time. But words of affirmation is definitely the case because he is always seeking reassurance. Like, he's always like, please tell me how you feel is the same way that I feel, or please reassure me that the night we had together was as important to you as it was to me. Like, he's always seeking reassurance, and when you give it to him, he eats it right up. If you don't give it to him, he gets like upset or nervous or anxious, definitely because he has more of a, you know, anxious attachment style, in my opinion. And he also obviously adores quality time because, you know, he took you to the astral plane to, you know, show you his world and show you what he can give you. And I feel like he just loves spending a lot of one-on-one time together and yapping about things and having deep conversations. So I feel like he's a mix of both, but I would definitely say words of affirmation is his top one. God Gale, that one is kind of rough as well. Like, I'm not sure where to put him, but I think again I would probably put him under maybe this is so difficult. I'm probably gonna say it's a mix between words of affirmation, because you still do see some of his insecurities coming through, especially if you try to break up with him and he says like, oh, I'm still not good enough for you even after I'm being a god. And he also talks about, you know, how pleased he is that people are building shrines in his name, etc. So I feel like he really eats up the attention and the affirmation. Like, I think that's actually probably his main one. I was thinking about also putting him under acts of service, but just because if you become his chosen, etc., he does really appreciate that you're kind of working with him. But even then, I still think words of affirmation is like his primary one, so I'm just gonna have him there. Okay, next let's talk about Karlach. Okay, Karlach, physical touch is definitely a very important one, especially because she hasn't been able to be touched in so long. There's a whole, you know, there's a whole like more intense level of meaning around the physical affection with her, especially because you have to wait for it for so long. I feel like she really needs that. And then the next thing for her, the equally important thing I would say is quality time, because she is short on time. Like, she's one of the characters that's very short on time, so she wants to make whatever time and moments that you have together count. So I just feel like she really appreciates any shared moments and memories together, more so than any of the other characters, because she's basically, you know, a ticking time bomb to her death, essentially. Okay, and last but not least, we have Halsin. And Halsin, I would definitely just say that his is physical touch. Because, I mean, even when he expresses interest in you initially, it seems just like very physical. Like, of course he appreciates you and he loves the time and he loves your energy, but I feel like physical touch is the most important to him, because your initial like romantic introduction is just very, very sexual. And especially with like the polyamorous thing in play and him being okay with sharing, etc., I just feel like physical touch is, you know, really important to him. And quality time, words of affirmation, I feel like you don't really need to reassure Halsin very much, so affirmation doesn't really count. Quality time, he's okay with you splitting your time with other people, so I feel like it's not necessarily a deal breaker for him. Acts of service, I don't really see much there at all, and gifts is not very important to him, so physical touch is definitely Halsin's primary. Yeah, so that about wraps up where I think each of these characters belong. It's a little bit hard because some of them are like a mix of them, but I've tried to put them into all their categories to the best of my ability. Let me know if you agree with this analysis or not, or if you would put some of the characters in different love languages. Let me know what your love language is. Maybe that affects what character that you chose to romance, you know? So that would be interesting to hear from you guys. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy my content. Leave any video suggestions you guys have in the comments. I always love hearing your ideas. And I hope you guys are having a great week, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.